freaking out, man.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert, Italian by birth, American by choice, songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Today is very interesting show. Every Sunday, a new show, new news, sometimes more disturbing, sometimes less disturbing, but today I think it's something every one of us, every one of you should stop everything you're doing. If you're driving, don't stop, keep driving, but you should really pay attention because this is happening to all of us. Now we have today with us as a special guest a true domestic terrorist. And no, he doesn't have the rag over his head. He doesn't drive a camel. He doesn't wave an RPG. He's just an American citizen. He's a law-abiding American citizen. Probably he's more American than many Americans I know. And unfortunately now, because our government can say so without any type of due process, just because they feel like it, they can put you on this domestic terrorist list and treat you like a criminal, humiliate you in front of your family, in front of your fellow Americans, and pretty much destroy your life. If this does not disturb you, you better change channel because I don't want to even talk to you, seriously. This is something very serious. They used to say before, during the time of Hitler, at first they came for the gay people, and then they came for the Jews, and then they came for the communists, I'm just paraphrasing it. And then they came for me, and there was nobody to help me out. Pretty much that's the story. If we do not do something right now, we don't get involved to understand that our due process, our basic constitution and Bill of Rights, it's gone. And the government has the absolute power to pretty much declare us enemy combatant and domestic terrorist. This is something that our generation, our next generation, they're going to make us pretty much feel sorry about it because I can't believe we're going to leave this type of America to people coming after us, and also for us. This is already happening. Today I have with me a man that I really respect a lot. I had a chance to meet him in person not that long ago. It was April 2014, in the middle of the desert, the Mesquite Desert. His name is Ammon-bundy. He's the son of Clyde Bundy, one of the men that I think really is going to be part of history of this American resistance against tyranny. Ammon, are you there?
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Very good, man. And, I met you, remember, when I watched the video that was playing on YouTube when you were being tased. You were tased just because you wanted to take some photos about military or paramilitary men training rifles on you, an armed man. You were detained and tased. And just remind a little bit briefly to the listener what happened to you then, so the people understand exactly what's going on with your family, what happened really a few months ago down at the Bundy's Ranch.
Yeah, in April, early April, 5 federal agencies got together and around 200 fully armed men came and surrounded the ranch and put it under siege. Around 50% of these men were mercenaries. They were actually hired hands to be snipers and to be militants. And they basically began to they locked down the land. They began to collect the cattle. They were doing this in a manner that was very aggressive, and they were killing many of the cattle, both from the air and from the ground. And to make a very long story short, we basically said that we were not going to stand and just let this happen. They weren't going to take our heritage away, take our ranch away. And we had been ranching in that area for 137 years, and we're still ranching today. Because the American people responded to us standing up and saying that we're not going to allow this to happen. And in about a week's time, several thousand people started coming from all over the country, and basically we stood against this abuse of power and this force, this deadly force that was upon us, and we gave them a choice where they had to either kill us or they had to leave, and we're thankful that they chose to leave, and we are still ranching today.
Exactly. And I was there with you, and I would like to remind to the people that maybe they still thinking that, we are a country based upon the rule of law. Yes, but the law must be just and godly, because even Hitler passed many laws. Would you comply with the law made by Hitler to pretty much detain or arrest a fellow human being just because of different type of religion or ethnicity? Would you comply when the Supreme Court in America pretty much said that slavery was okay? I would have not complied with that. And when I saw fellow Americans like the Bundys, that, by the way, just to let you know, this is not about cows. This is not about grazing rights. First of all, we can talk about that too, of course, and nothing wrong with that. But this is about freedom. It's about Bill of Rights, First Amendment. When I see men and women unarmed, treated like animals, beaten up, tased, unlawfully detained, okay, just because they want to exercise the First Amendment, that would be enough. And that's why I saw that video, I jumped in the truck, and I was proud to be myself a domestic terrorist along with my fellow Americans. Because if standing for freedom today in this America of 2014 means to be a domestic terrorist, I'm proud of it. That's all I want to say, Ammon. So I'm very proud to have met you. I'm proud to have shared, even for a few days, the same land with you in the struggle. Now we are to a new struggle. It's getting even more interesting. That's why today I wanted you here. It's about an accident. It is not an accident, of course. It is about a drama, in my opinion, that happened to you and your daughter when you were at the airport in Phoenix Airport. Can we talk a little bit about that? When happened? Exactly what happened?
Yeah, so, I mean, we made that stand in April, and ever since, and we were threatened many times that we would be, basically, that this wasn't over, that we would, that they would come put an end to this, and that we were not going to get away with it. Those were type of language that we were getting from our federal government. Mm-hmm. And so we suspected some retaliation. We were also called, as you've mentioned many times, domestic terrorists, and even further, violent domestic terrorists. And just so people understand that, that's just not name calling. What that is that's like a criminal status, such as like a felon, but a lot worse. So it's a criminal status of a domestic terrorist, like someone who would cause harm on American people, yeah, and terrorize them. So this status is real. This name is not just name calling. It actually is something that could destroy your life if it was allowed to go on. So anyhow, we had wondered if it was just name calling. We had, or if they had actually had us categorized in the federal database as domestic terrorists. Mm-hmm. And I found that out the other day when I went to the airport to fly from Phoenix to Salt Lake with my 12-year-old daughter. We were headed up there for a family, to be with a family member who had accomplished something really wonderful, and we wanted to be with her. And when we got to the airport, everything's fine. We checked in, and I didn't notice, but my boarding pass was tagged. It had some bold lettering on it, and I didn't really realize what that meant. I haven't flown enough to realize if there was anything different. Mm-hmm. When I got to the actual line where the TSA, where you go in to check into to go to the boarding gates, the first guy there was just kind of telling you what line you should be in. And he looked at my boarding pass and he stopped, and he says, basically to the effect, are you Ammon? Are you Ammon? And I said, yes. And then he didn't say anything, but he circled my name. And I had wondered, when I was waiting in line, I wondered what that was all about. I kind of was a little suspicious, but of course. Yeah. And then so I went through the line, and I got to the main check station there, where right before you go through the metal detector and the screening. And as soon as the guy saw my boarding pass, he stopped the line. Everybody behind me is stopped and waiting, and he started calling for his supervisor, his commanding officer, and he called several times, and finally the commanding officer came, and then they basically he was showing my ticket, and they were kind of talking a little bit back and forth, and then they came and basically had me step behind the line, and then they confiscated my belongings and my daughter's belongings, and they took them up and around the screening area, and then they made us go through the screening area, like everybody else, except they had people that were with us the whole time, and just with us. And meanwhile, it's kind of making a pretty good stir. People are like wondering what's going on, why is this man and his daughter, being
treated
this way, or or like they weren't like really concerned because they weren't like abusing us or anything, but we were drawing attention, and people were wondering what was going on. So then we went through the check station, the screening area, through the metal detectors and all of that, and then they took us over behind kind of the area, and meanwhile they're going through all our stuff and digging through it, and they wanted me to go into another room, and I told them no, whatever they're going to do, they're going to do it here. And they actually didn't force me to go in another room. I didn't feel comfortable with not being out where the public was, and I wasn't going to let them put me in another room
by yourself with no witnesses.
By myself, yeah. And I didn't know what their intent was to, what they were going to do with my daughter when I was in there and all of that. So I just insisted that I stay right there and not go in some room. And anyway, make a long story short, they went through every piece of material and anything that we had in all our gear. They tested it. Then they began to interrogate us, asking us questions. And
like what? Excuse me. What did they ask you as a question? I mean, what type of question can they ask you to a rancher or to a working man like you?
Yeah, well, I mean, most of it is like, why you're flying. They, of course, are asking like my home address, my phone numbers, and they're asking my daughter what she's doing, and just kind of those type of questions, those probing questions.
Wow.
And then they took that information, they wrote it down, and then it went to another level. So this would be the third level supervisor that actually was asking us the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And they frisked us and patted us down, and the whole 9 yards. And they did not do like cavity checks or anything like that, thankfully. But they did frisk us and pat us down pretty good.
Wow. Even to excuse me. Even your daughter. I mean, you're 12 years old. I got frisked and patted down. Even her?
That's correct.
Wow.
That's correct.
This is disgusting.
Yep.
This is really disgusting. Yeah. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm very proud of you that you kept your coolness, and probably that's what they were trying to push you. Because I'm telling you, I have no daughters, I have no sons, but I had somebody touch my daughter or my son. I really had to do an extra effort, especially when I know these bastards. They leave the borders open. Everybody can come here. They get illegal aliens on free ticket on airplanes without any type of formal documentation. And you, American person, and you, your little daughter, touch her down like sex offender. Shame on them. We may not be judged today by a man, but one day God will judge these bastards. And I'm telling you with my heart, I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm disgusted. I just had breakfast. I'm throwing up now. Keep going, please, before my pressure goes up.
Well, so then the third level supervisor or commanding officer was there and asking the questions. And they took the information, they went over to a computer, and they began to put stuff in and read stuff, and I could see that they were reading it and that they were that they were, getting information and putting information in.
Mm-hmm.
And that went on for a little while. And then she had my boarding pass. One of them had my boarding pass, and they began to like hole punch it with the star hole punch, and they hole punched it 5 times, and right over the bold marking.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
No, I say yes. And by the way, I would like to add, I will add your photo on the website, lovegunsfreedom.com, the photo of this special ticket with stars and SSSS for S, pretty much so everybody can see exactly how it looks right now in the New America with a K, the boarding ticket of a domestic terrorist. Okay, so go to lovegunsfreedom.com and I will put your photo with your pass at today's show. Please keep going.
Excellent. Well, and I felt, and this is not verified, but I felt like those hole punches, the way they are with those stars, were to warn everybody else that the people when I was boarding, and I kind of felt like that was the mark, so that anybody else that I had to go through the check stations and screening or whatever would know immediately by looking at my boarding pass.
Like the Jews,
that I was targeted.
Armand, this is the star like the Jews. When the Nazi had to put the Jews on, they say you must put the star on top of your head, okay? Simple as that, or your armband. Simple as that. History is repeating itself. Seriously, I'm not trying to be dramatic. Come on, let's put it. You didn't.
The more I think about it, the more I think about the stars and what that has meant in history. Yeah. And it is concerning.
Yeah, it is concerning.
And the other part was she made sure, because the lady, the one that actually hole punched it was a lady, and she made sure that it was almost like she's looking at the screen, and then she made sure there was 5 holes in it.
5.
And I don't know what that means, but the way it was done, and the way, like, she was also doing it in very specific spots on it. Like, she did it in 2 down low, and then 2 up high, and then 1 in the middle.
Yeah.
And you'll see it. And I don't know, but the way she was doing it, she even flipped over the boarding pass and punched it in a couple different spots. And then she was having a hard time with one of them getting it in the right spot. So I just watched her do that, and I thought to myself, that must mean something. How she's doing it and how many she's putting in it must all mean something to somebody down the line, so that they know who they're dealing with, or that they know that they're dealing with a domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
And
of course, we can ask questions because slaves never deserve answers. That's the bottom line, because I tell you, if I would like to ask, what are you doing? Can I ask you why you're doing this to me? And I'm sure that Ned will give you an answer. I mean, how dare you ask him a question about, Now, question, this treatment as domestic terrorist, I would like to ask you a very basic question. They go back to, for me, when I learned the basic concept of the Bill of Rights at the United States Constitution when I became an American, that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. And we all deserve a due process, or at least we're supposed to. Not anymore, of course, with the National Defense Authorization Act and the Patriot Act, but technically we still deserve a due process where we can face our accusers, go in front of a judge, and then we'll see if we are guilty or innocent. Did you have a chance to go in front of a judge or a trial or a jury to be treated like that? I mean, now you declare by the state a domestic terrorist. Did you ever face your accusers or it's a trial about this?
No, not at all. In fact, I've never even been accused of it other than publicly. And there's never been any, arrests or charges or anything to that nature at all. In fact, the only ticket I've ever had is just a traffic violation, and for a couple of them for speeding or something,
No.
And I've never had anything that has or done anything that has put me at the, that I should even be considered this type of threat or being under this status. And that is the problem here. I know it's, what you're making this point is that, we have individuals and a government that is willing to use the people's power, because that's the only power they have, is they're willing to use the people's power to destroy individuals' lives because they are standing against what they're doing, what they're trying to do. And that's why this is such a, an important thing for everybody to understand, that this is exactly history repeating itself.
Ammon, I would like to say something now. This is something mostly for everybody else out there listening. Not because it did not happen to you right now means that you have to just ignore this. This tomorrow could happen to your daughter, to your son, to yourself, to your mother. This is so important. I would like to remind everybody this is happening because we have two pieces of legislation in the last 14 years. The people now, they want to blame it all on Obama. That's fine. He's pretty much a big part of it. But let's not forget also Bush and the Patriot Act. We have two pieces of legislation that all of us should maybe read it again. It's called the Patriot Act 1 and 2, and then the National Defense Authorization Act. Both presidents, they've been guilty. Both Congress and Senate being guilty, most of them at least. Now, are you familiar with the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, Ammon? Did you ever heard about that?
I have. I'm not as familiar as I probably should be.
Let me give you the short story, and I tell you why I think you did a very smart move to do not go in a private room without witnesses. And this is just my opinion, of course, but also backed by what I read. I'm able to read this piece of legislation. I give you the very short summary. Right now in America, 2014, we are exactly before the document called Magna Carta. You remember that during the Magna Carta, the king, before put you in jail, must have habeas corpus, the body of the crime. Must have a reason. They can just put you in jail and forget about you, okay? Now, thanks to Obama, Congress, the Senate, and then let's not blame it just on Democrats, because Republicans, they were behind that so much, that McCain, Lindsey Graham, and all of them, okay? So both of them, both parties, with Obama in charge, they created these pieces of legislation that bring us back before the Magna Carta, and exactly it says that any one of us, American people, can be declared enemy combatant, and without any type of due process, like happens right now to Mr. Bundy, with any type of judge, jury, trial, anything, just because suspected, let me say again the word suspected, not convicted, to be a terrorist, you can be detained forever, unlimited detention. You can also be tortured and killed. This is not a conspiracy. This is the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012. Obama signed it. Obama wanted it. And then he said, of course, after when he passed, no, we're never going to use this power. This is just for extreme situation. They always say that. The point now, they have that power. I don't care if it's unconstitutional. They still have all these drones and zombies there of the TSA. They think they can do pretty much everything they want to us. And I'm telling you, Ammon, you remember other parts of the world, like in Chile, during Pinochet, they call the white deaths. 20,000 people disappeared. They never came back home. Okay? It's so happened in Italy during Mussolini, happened in Germany, happened in Russia, and happened in any other tyranny. We are here at this point. So I'm glad you did the right thing. First of all, you had God on your side. I really believe that, because these things can be accelerated into a new level. You never know what happened. A movement or a bad word or some sort of emotional reaction, you could have been probably tased again if you were lucky. But the fact now that everybody must understand, this is not America. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican. I don't care if you like cows or if you're a vegetarian. This is not about that. This is about freedom, for God's sake. Seriously. How would you feel to be like that, treated like that in front of your daughter? You know, my heart breaks just to think about that. Now, I'm on another important thing. This is something that's going to happen next 90 days probably. I also talked about this last Sunday during the show. that the feds retaliate against your bundy-ranch, I mean your family, and also all the other people of southern Nevada, with another piece of paper and ink, because it's pretty much is a federal notice. And what they're trying to do, they try to create an area of critical environmental concern, ACEC. And they are all human restricted management areas. That means us slaves, human beings, we are not allowed to be there. Okay? So they will close roads, exclude the trails, they will pretty much create all these things. Tell me what you think about it.
Yeah, so it's really the same thing as what's going on with what happened to me at the airport. And what I mean by that is it is government, whether we're talking about Congress or agencies, exercising unlimited powers without checks and balances and without separation of powers. And just like putting someone on a list without due process, there are certain rules that this country is founded upon, laws and constitutional rights that are founded upon, that are being violated by our federal government, and also, by our state and by our counties at times. These ACECs, areas of critical environmental concern, are basically done at a agency level.
Yes.
So, for example, we're talking about 3.1 million acres in southern Nevada, including all of the ranch. And we have to lay this out. They wanted the ranch. They wanted to take the ranch. The ranch has been in the family for 137 years. We run around 600 head of cattle on it, and it covers a space of about 200,000 acres, because it takes a lot of cattle, or it takes a lot of land for a small amount of cattle to live on the desert. So, and they wanted this land. For whatever reason, there's lots of reasons that are being thrown around of why they want the land, but they want it. They tried to get it through environmental species. 20 plus years ago, they said the desert tortoise was an endangered species, and therefore we have to remove all the cattle off the land. We have to remove all the mining, all the hunting, all that off the land to protect the desert tortoise.
Yeah, right.
And my dad said no at that time. No, I'm not going to let you do that. I've been, this ranch has been passed down to me from my forefathers. We came into this land first. We were here way before you guys, and you're not going to do this to us.
Ammon, I can say something. Ammon, 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. Even if I was there the last day, I'm just a fresh immigrant out of the boat a few years ago, okay? And I'm an American now. It's illogical. It's crazy. It's completely out of control. If you tell me that I bought a house there, I bought a ranch, now federal government tell me, no, sorry, because there is a turtle, a jumping mouse there, you got to pack your stuff and go. I say, screw you. Seriously.
Yeah.
Screw you.
Exactly.
This is completely nihilistic. Against the human species, for God's sake.
Absolutely. So, but the thing is it has nothing to do with the animal or the species at all. It's all about controlling land and resources. They actually have used the environmental community worse than they've used anybody else. They basically said, hey, they've used their activism, they've used their money, they've used everything, and it's not just to protect the animals. It's to gain control of land and resources. And the desert tortoise example is perfect because now they have so many desert tortoises, they're euthanizing them.
Yeah, think about it.
They've already euthanized over 10,000 tortoises.
On our tax dollar, yeah.
And the ranch was supposed to be a mitigation area for the tortoises. They never did put any tortoises on them. No. They put them in a facility, and they got so populated that they started getting sick, and so now they're killing them.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the animals. It has to do with controlling the land and resources, getting control of the land and resources. And
the magic keyword, I'm sure you already know, and my listeners, they know, but in case somebody's new listening to the show, it's called Agenda 21. And it's so important, this word. We don't have enough time now to go through this together, but I've been talking about this over and over the last year. Please Google it, Agenda 21. There is an incredible book, Behind the Green Mask, by Royce Corey. And by the way, this book was written by a Democrat. Democrats against Agenda 21. This is not just a right-wing conspiracy, okay? This is a fact. Check it out. Please keep going.
Yeah. So to tie this back to the ACECs, so my dad stood 21 years ago, said that he's not going to leave the land. So they basically at that time said he's trespassing.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was very clear with them and has been very clear since then that the land that he ranches on, the public land, because he does ranch on most of its public land,
mm-hmm.
he ranches on is state land, not U.S. territory.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that there's a difference. When a state becomes a state, everything changes at that moment. Everything changes. It no longer is U.S. territory. It is supposed to be governed by the people of the state. And it's supposed to be disposed of and sold to the people. And the state is what handles all that constitutionally, not the federal government. So anyway, that's the position that my dad stood on. They basically said that he was trespassing, and they said he's been trespassing for the last 20-plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And so in April, they came down and tried to remove my father from the ranch, and they, did all the things that they did, tased us, threw us on the ground, detained us, beat us, sicked their dogs on us, killed the cattle, and locked the whole community out of their lands, terrorized the community. It was just unbelievable what they were willing to do, what force they were willing to come down upon both our family and the community to control this land.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they were not able to get it done.
Yes.
The people stood, said, "You're not going to do this." America surrounded the people. The community came together. And it was a wonderful display of the people's power. And it was peaceful.
Yes.
One person got shot. Nothing. There wasn't a war.
No. And they pointed guns at us. Okay. The point is, people are trying to blame now. Oh, there are militia pointing guns at whatever they are, feds. Honestly, most of them, they were mercs. You know that. The point is, lucky, if I am in the real world, according to the Arizona state law, if somebody point a gun at me, I have enough probable cause to defend myself because I really believe they may want to kill me. Okay, I'm fearing for my life. So these bastards, behind the coward behind the SUV, tax-paid SUV, they were pointing a lot of rifles at us. And the only thing, probably this didn't explode in violence. They didn't beat us up and tase us and probably shoot us because we had still law-abiding citizens. And the fact that they didn't shoot means that we don't look for violence, ready to defend our lives. And this is very important. They pointed the guns at us first. They should be criminal charged to point loaded guns on an unarmed American citizen. Because down there in the canyon where we were there facing them, all of us, we were unarmed, okay? And if we had some sidearms on us, they were in the holster. They weren't pointed at them, okay? That's the bottom line. And I was there, I documented that on video, and I find disgusting. These people, they leave the borders open. They cannot even point a loaded rifle against drug dealers at the southern border, otherwise they get sued. But they have the audacity to treat us like criminals, worse than criminals. I think criminals have more rights. Now, what situation with this new takeover? By the way, the BLM is behind all this. There's not even Congress involved. This sort of pieces of bureaucratic paper and ink that for me they're worth as much as toilet paper, seriously. They want to take over now 3 million acres in southern Nevada with these executive pieces of bureaucratic paper, according to the areas of critical environmental concern. Technically, 90 days from October the 10th, 2014, these will become effective. So that means we're talking about the beginning of a new year, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So
what's going to happen?
So they basically said, well, we couldn't go down by force and do this because the people wouldn't have it. So now we're going to retaliate against Nevada, Southern Nevada, and the Bundy Ranch by filing in the Federal Registry that they're going to make all of this land areas of critical environmental concern. And this is a major problem that we have to identify. These agencies, it's not even like the Bureau, it's not even the BLM. It is a BLM, but it's just the local offices, the local Pahrump and Las Vegas offices.
Yeah,
actually just take and file in the Federal Registry to make all of this land ACECs.
Yeah,
and then in 90 days it becomes federal law. It never was legislated.
Yeah,
the people never got to, the state never approved it. They didn't pay for it. None of that.
This is complete tyranny. Complete tyranny. I mean, what you say is so important. It's no even BLM itself would be bad enough in Washington, but we're talking about the local office of your district there. All they have to do, get some paper, write down with some ink, some crap, okay, and at that point file it. And tomorrow they can file that maybe your home can be on sacred and holy land that pretty much belongs to the government. And I've been sarcastic, of course. So my point is this one here. Where is Congress? Where is your congressman? First of all, let's celebrate that Harry Reid seems like he's going to pack his stuff and go for a moment. It seems after this election. That's a good start. But I'm not that confident with the Republicans either, because so far, they've been part of the same travesty. But maybe now they have finally the chance to show that they're going to save the day. Did you have any feedback from your congressman?
The one thing that we have to understand, and what we believe, is that the problem here is the state is not acting like a state.
That's true.
The state's not standing up and saying, hey, this is not U.S. territory. You don't have the right to even control or own or do anything inside this state.
All right.
And so we haven't been petitioning, Congress and the federal government at all, because they're going to do what we allow them to do as a state and a people.
It's true.
It's true. So we've been petitioning our local state leaders and county leaders to start acting like a state and start being that fourth check and balance to protect our life, liberty, and property. And we're starting to get a little more response. I got a call from one of the Assembly Nevada State Assembly woman yesterday, saying that they are the Republicans have taken both the Senate and the House, and that they are looking to these issues to basically take these lands back like they were supposed to be when Nevada became a state in 1864.
Yeah, and first of all, they should fire these pieces of, I don't want to call names, but this individual at the BLM that he thinks has such a power like God, seriously, to start to write stuff on paper and tell you that you must leave that area because humans, they're not allowed. This man should be arrested right now. Seriously, forget about getting, some sort of firing. This person, they are paid by our tax dollars. They are less than worms. Seriously, I'm disgusted. And I'm not kidding.
It's pretty amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, think about the arrogance, their mindset to think, okay, now 3 million. So let's remind to the listeners, this is not just about taking over. I don't care if it was just one ranch. It's their property, for God's sake. This is not Stalin and under Russia, but we are like now. Stalin, that's what he did. They went in Ukraine and decided to take over property. And if they didn't go along with the good ways, guess what? They went and got shot. All the different peasants, all the different farmers. Exactly things happening here. They have now, of course, a more noble cause. They try to say that this is about saving the world, saving the environment. Agenda 21, it's a pile of crap. Because this land, we have already proofs that is being taken from the people, and then it will be pretty much shared to corporations. We already know about the deals they were trying to do with the solar plant right there, and they will still go. Chinese pretty much owns most of this land, or at least they want to own it. And there is more and more and more coming down. And this is the point now, guys. We can talk about this all day long. But after when we understand and we realize that we are right now in a new America, and now it's under our watch that we have to do something. We have to start to do something. We cannot just ignore this and say, okay, it's happening in Nevada. I live in Maryland. I don't really care. Guess what? You're going to be next anyway. You're already a slave probably in Maryland anyway. But that's the point. I'm just making an example. So it's time that we got to do something. And I give you the practical thing here. In 90 days, hell probably is going to knock at the doors of the Bundys. And not just the Bundys. There are 3 million acres there. What are the responses of the other ranchers now? Other farmers, what are they saying after these pieces of paper crap? What are they saying?
What's that?
I say all these ranchers around you, you're not the only one living on these 3 million acres, correct? I mean, there are other people.
Well, actually, we are. There used to be 53 ranchers in this area.
Wow.
But they pushed them all out and run them all out because over the past 20 years, and my dad is the only one left.
Oh my gosh. So
out of 53 ranchers, he's the only one left, and the reason he's the only one left is because he's the only one that wouldn't compromise with them.
Wow.
All the rest of them are like, they started putting higher regulations on the ranchers where they couldn't run as many cattle or they couldn't run certain years or certain months. And all of these things were regulating these ranchers until they couldn't survive anymore. And that was their goal. They were regulating the ranchers right out of business.
Exactly.
And my dad said, no, you don't have the right to do that. I understand the Constitution. Yeah. You don't have the right to be here doing that. And I'm not going to abide by your regulations.
I agree.
So he's the only one he's the only one that's there.
But anyway, the people of Nevada, regardless that they have a ranch or not there, they still maybe may enjoy or want to enjoy, even if they don't like the outdoors. But I think it's there, if they are human beings, free Americans and free Nevadians, whatever you want to call it, and they don't like to be treated like slaves, they should understand that a freaking agency like BLM is supposed not to have that power to put off limits to humans 3 million acres. That's the point I'm trying to say. We should all stick together. I don't care where you're from. If you're from Hawaii, California, Arizona, if there is some bureaucrat, some minion, some sort of a bloodsucker at some state agency, federal agency, like this guy at the BLM, he has that type of power. Tomorrow they can do the same thing in your state, your district. So it's time we need to start to understand that this is happening under our watch. I'm not saying call to arms, but at least call to your hearts. Call to the law for freedom. Call for law for your human beings, your fellow humans, for your fellow Americans. We should all go. I don't care even just a day, an hour. Support them. Support us. If you support now the people in Nevada that they are going to face this tyranny in the next couple of months, indirectly we are supporting the rest of us. And hopefully we can show to these people behind the scenes operating in the darkness that they have no power. It's few of them. They can have a few mercenaries around there. That's fine. But they cannot kill us all. They may try, but guess what? I'm not advocating for violence, but I'm not Gandhi, okay? I don't want to shoot the first round. But if somebody shoot at me, I have the human right, the American right, to defend my family, myself, and my freedom. Ammon-bundy, I really respect you. I respect your family. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't even eat cows. You know that? I'm a kind of, I don't eat meat. But I love you, man. This is not about meat. This is not about cows. This is about freedom. And I'm so proud that to become an American and to have the chance to meet people like you, to show the rest of the world that in America we still have the DNA to stand up for freedom, and it's up to us how much tyranny we're going to let happen, okay? So I want to give you the floor for the last message, whatever you want to say, and then I would like to ask you, of course, to keep us updated. Anything's happening there. We are just a few hours away here in Mojave County. I'll be happy to be with you again, okay? So please, go ahead. I'll leave you the floor, the last phrase or whatever you want to say. Go ahead. You got the floor.
Well, I just want to say that the answers are found in the U.S. Constitution, and we are a law-abiding people. And that law is the Constitution of the United States. And it protects us. It allows us to be able to ranch and be able to live and to be able to have our freedoms protected. And even though these codes and these regulations will be upon us here in less than 90 days, the Bundy family plans on ranching, and that's what they're going to continue to do. And that's what each of us should do. We should continue to do and continue to exercise our rights. And when our rights are violated, then we must stand and do whatever it takes to restore them.
Very good, man. Very good. I'll dedicate for you a song I wrote in the CD, Don't Tread on Us. The song is called Here They Come, dedicated to all the free people of Nevada and the Bundy ranch.
come. They're coming for your guns. Here they come. They're coming for your sons. Here they come. They're coming for your land. Are you ready to stand? Are you ready to stand? Here they come. The end has just begun. Here they come. This time we won't run. Here they come. Together we're not outdone. If we fight as one, if we fight as one, we'd rather live free for just one day than be your slaves, than be your slaves. We'd rather live free for just one day than obey. We're not afraid. The truth has risen. Our minds have no more prisons. Your illusions have disappeared. In the sun we have no fear. Now is our time to expose your crimes. Now is our time. Now is our time. And now we know your names. We know your final game. You're just pathetic scum. You worship death and then some. And here we draw the line. And we're feeling fine. And we're feeling fine. And we're feeling fine. We'd rather live free for just one day than be your slaves. Than be your slaves. We'd rather live free for just one day than obey. We're not afraid.
We are not afraid of you. Council of Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, the Bilderbergs, New World Order. We are not afraid of you.
We'd rather live free, free for just one day, than be your slave, than be your slave. We'd rather live free for just one day than obey. We're not afraid. Here they come.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Here we go. Back to the show. we're talking about local business, county business, local politics. I really believe that the most important politics happens at local level. We may not change the federal government overnight. We know that. It's far from that. But I believe that the state and county level, especially in the state of Arizona, we have a lot of opportunities to improve things and to regain pretty much the form of government that America used to be, a constitutional republic with a Bill of Rights and Constitution and state constitution. Now, today I have with me a gentleman that I've been following pretty close because I have properties in the area. We're talking about Apache County. And his name is Apache County Supervisor, Barry Weller. Supervisor Weller, are you there?
Yes, I am, Mr. Zanna. It's good to talk with you.
Thank you very much. You're supervisor for District 3, if I well remember, correct?
That is correct. That's the southern part of Apache County, which is 11,000 square miles.
Wow, pretty big, pretty big. And I was looking a little bit about your background, your very impressive background. You can briefly just introduce yourself in a few words. You know, you're a veteran, and tell us a little bit about you before we go ahead.
Well, not my favorite topic to talk on publicly, but I retired from a manufacturing position, worked for many years in facilities management, helping to construct, design, and justify manufacturing plants around the world.
Okay.
And retired to Apache County. Did not live here prior to about 4 years ago. My wife and I bought property up here about 25, 26 years ago and started to build a retirement home. And it was completed and paid for, and we moved up here to relax. But as I heard your introduction, you talked about local politics and the criticalness of them. That's what I started to learn about when I moved to this rural area from the urban area that I'd always lived in. And I started to see the impact of government regulations on the lifestyles up here and got involved with politics to see if there was any way I could help. Mm-hmm. I actually looked for local people, but it ended up that I was the man that got elected as a supervisor in this county.
Okay, now let's talk about specifically about regulations. You know, this is something very important. Are you familiar with ICLEI? ICLEI. It's pretty much.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit what you know about it.
Well, it's been a long time since I've talked about ICLEI. It's the International. Go ahead with the acronym. Give me the wording again, and I'll rethink of what it is. Yes,
it is pretty much a local branch. Are you Let's start from probably from the most important word is Agenda 21. It's ICLEI is the local government for sustainability. That was founded in 1990. Okay, it is part
there
of.
You go. Yes,
it is international.
It actually was part of what got me a little bit involved in the local area when a federal program under HUD was brought in for sustainability into the region under the auspices that it would pull communities together. But the more I looked into it, the more it was directly connected with Agenda 21 and was targeted at regionalization and the reduction of the ability for local governments to have any authority in decision making.
Exactly. And to keep it simple, I mean, my listeners, they're pretty aware of Agenda 21, but maybe ICLEI is something that is really going under the radar. First of all, go to the website, is iclei.org. Pretty much the plan was, Agenda 21 was, when it was started, and that was under Bush father, 1992, you got to really understand that, of course, that is more than just some sort of feel good and let's save the planet thing. This is about inventory and control. It's about pretty much controlling all the resources of all the world. Land, water, energy, food supply, humans. We are treated like stock pretty much. And slowly, now we start to see it. Now, specifically in Apache County, I would like to ask you a question that I didn't verify yet. Maybe you can tell us. According to my last research, Agenda 21, Apache County pretty much is part of ICLEI, or at least got some grants regarding this implementation of Agenda 21. Are you familiar with that?
Well, the only one I'm familiar with has to do with the one I mentioned, relative to sustainable communities.
Yes.
And that has come to a close, to the best of my understanding. But it's actually, once you start playing with the federal regulation, federal grants, it becomes kind of insidious and almost impossible to get them out of your system. They kind of work into the bloodstream because there's so many local communities that are starving for help that it works under the guise that you will have access to more federal money and we will help you out as long as you sign on the dotted line. And many communities have decided to sign on that dotted line in the Apache County area.
And when was signed this agreement for sustainability development? When was signed Apache County? Because I know that happened. You just confirmed that.
Well, I can't give you the date. It's been about 2 years. It actually took place before I came into office in 2012. So it was just before that, at the end of 2011.
And just to let you know, when you go to iclay.org website and you go into the section called Members, just 1 year or 1.5 years ago, you were able to see exactly all the local Arizona and United States municipalities that pretty much agree by contract to be part of Agenda 21. Now, because I think some sort of awareness, it is blocked. You go there, you can see how many members, but you cannot read anymore the name of the members. But anyway, I confirm what you just said, taking a grant for this sort of keyword, like you just said, sustainability development, it is part of Agenda 21. And we can start to see this in zoning. We can start to see pretty soon now in taxation, and especially in the different type of permits that we're going to go through to even just develop basic concept of property rights. Now, talking about taxation, this is not just about me, myself, but in District 3, I noticed that in the area where I live, in the last 3 years, at least for my little property, I noticed that the taxation went up about 25% for pretty much nothing, because I didn't get any extra service, and so neither my neighbors around the area. What do you think about that? What's going on this? Because this is kind of disturbing, especially for people like would like to move in the area for retiring, like you wanted to do.
Yeah, I can talk to that briefly. I haven't looked into your specifics yet, Mr. Zanna. I did my best to vote any tax increase in the county whatsoever, but there were some tax increases, and some of them were special district taxes. The interesting part about local government is that if you look at the breakdown on your tax bill, you'll see a whole list of special districts, such as fire district, library district, jail district, health district. It goes on, and each one of those has the ability to raise your taxes and add to your bottom line tax bill. Then the county, in conjunction with that, is trying to maintain whatever they think are the basic service levels for the community with their tax level. But most, the insidious part about government is that they tend to take the mindset that they must exist at the size they are or grow bigger. And therefore, they don't take a mindset that says, how do we reduce costs and be efficient, such as a business would be? And the arguments and discussions that take place at we'll call it the government levels, interdepartmental levels, that once you get to be an elected official you're part of, are just absolutely against any taxpayer's desire to be represented appropriately. The economy is horrible at this point. It's hard for anybody to argue that, and to have an entity that has the ability and the power to take money from the citizens, to sit in a room without the citizens and discuss how are we going to grow, how are we going to improve, how are we going to maintain what we have, and have the ability to have new cars, whatever issues associated with the county government or whatever government agency it is, to just raise taxes is not what I wanted to be a part of.
No, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I know your position. I also know that you are a lonely voice. Unfortunately, there are 3 supervisors, and It's two pretty much against one, okay? And that's the situation. But at the same time, I would like to say, it is disturbing to think that if we don't do something right now, something is going to happen, and people, they're going to lose their homes. And I don't think everybody's going to allow that, because we need to find a solution. That's my point. I know that your heart is the right place, but at the same time, we need to understand what can we do. And more important, I believe we must make them understand. I don't care now if this is the fire district or the school district or the other two supervisors, that the revolution started pretty much for the same reasons. You start to put people in a desperate situation, and they're going to start to do desperate things. Because I find disturbing to think that in 3 years, my property taxes go up to 25%. And if I was on fixed income, I would be very disturbed, because, that's the way they pretty much confiscate your property legally. So I hope we can find a solution peacefully. I hope we can find citizens involved, and with your help, to try to let them remind to these agencies that this is not like a private business that they can do whatever they want. They still work for us. Now, another question.
Mr. Zanna, that's something you need to remind each and every official that gets elected and each and every person that works for the tax dollar. They do work for us, and that's not the mindset that is embedded in the normal bureaucratic mind.
I see.
So what you can do is, and right now I'm certainly for peaceable resolution and turnaround of this train that's going in the wrong direction, as you say, and please transmit this to every individual. Get involved in every aspect of government and hold each and every bureaucrat and government official accountable to the fact that they do work for you.
I agree, and that is exactly probably what the weak point of Apache County, in my opinion, is such a big area. And even just to come to meetings, I realized that because, I'm new to the area, I realized that even come to a meeting, it takes like a drive, okay? So it's kind of a very much of an effort for the average person, especially that is retired. So that's probably what happened. That's why we need to do the extra step, the extra sacrifice to pretty much be present. Now, regarding something that you've been involved in the first person, first of all, this gray wolf situation with the BLM and the federal government. What's going on right now? Do we have this gray wolf allowed to roam around Apache County or not?
Well, the answer is, way too many of them are roaming around Apache County, but you mentioned the word BLM, and I want to tell you about something that your listeners may not know about quite yet.
Please.
That's going on up in Utah, in Iron County. And there is a road to a dam that has been there for hundreds of years that the BLM has closed temporarily under emergency orders, even though they did not have the right-of-way. The water district, the sanitary district, I think it is, had the right-of-way, and under emergency condition, the BLM closed this land. What I'm going to tell you is insidious. Last week, I think it was a week ago, some commissioners up in Utah and citizens, about more than 100 citizens, went out to protest that this road was not being allowed to be utilized. And it was essentially illegally closed because it's an RS-2477 road, and they had no authority because it was not their right-of-way to take away from the citizens or the water district.
Wow.
What has happened is that the commissioner, Mr. Bill Lyman, has been charged with federal conspiracy because he exercised his freedom of speech and his right to protest the issues that were up there, and they didn't charge him as a commissioner. They charged him personally under federal conspiracy laws.
Wow.
This is a major danger to the complete dissolution of local governments. It's a fear tactic, it's a bullying tactic by the federal government to try to get local officials to shut up, sit down, and don't speak up. This needs to be broadcast everywhere, and people need to stand up for the rights of their elected citizens, the elected individuals that have the courage and the ability to stand up with these issues have to have the backing of the people and the support of the people. And please look into those issues up in Iron County, Utah, that are going on right now. We're trying to pull together supervisors throughout Arizona to be supportive of this and get the BLM to back off on their charges. But this is the kind of thing that goes on around the western United States. The Mexican wolf is part of that issue where the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service just keeps putting more into the area, even though the ranchers are going out of business, moving away to other counties because they can't survive with the wolf impact on their livestock and their family, the psychological effect of their children because of the fear of the wolves wandering through their communities and into their local ranches. It's an insidious thing that where your local safety, health, and welfare is not being considered by the impact. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is presently under what's called an environmental impact statement review to change the rule to, and it is being proposed to triple the number of wolves in an area that is already overly impacted by the wolf population. And yet they do not sit with the local community elected officials or the ranchers that are impacted by this and take into considerations the things that need to be considered. I don't think there's anybody in this county that doesn't want wolves to be survive if they can survive in the area that they need to be, but they cannot be allowed to run and roam and kill livestock, which is personal private property for ranchers, without our ability to defend our property.
Exactly, and this is exactly the point. This is another part of Agenda 21. We are under attack pretty much 360 degrees, and the way they want us out of here. And I tell you another magic keyword that probably you're familiar with. You're a smart man and you're pretty educated on the issues. There was an executive order not that long ago from President Obama. I never call him president, but just in your presence, I'm trying to be respectful to you, not to him. Normally I call him President Obastard. Executive Order 13.
Well, I personally think that people need to earn their respect, and
exactly.
He has not earned my respect.
Exactly.
So,
but I'm trying to be polite.
You haven't offended me.
I'm trying to be polite to you because, otherwise I would go pretty much more free on that area. Anyway, it's Executive Order 13575. It's pretty much called the Council of Rural America. And I don't know if you're familiar with that. This is pretty much now the federal government, by executive order, takes control officially about pretty much most of rural America and put under this control different agencies that they're going to be pretty much the supervisors. We're talking about the Department of Defense, Homeland Security, talking about some APA, talking about that there is enough now jurisdiction, completely unconstitutional jurisdiction, that pretty much to legally start to, as you said, like what happened in Utah, confiscate and boss around and intimidate local governments and local property. This is very serious because this reminds me in history when Stalin started to take over the different type of farmers in the Ukraine or in different parts of Russia. They sent the soldiers, and the farmers that didn't want to pretty much give away their properties, they were pretty much rounded up and sent to the gulags. I don't see anything different here. This is just maybe a different type of timing, but we need to look at history right now. It's repeating itself in front of our eyes. And I'm telling you.
Mr. John, I absolutely agree with you. And let me give the perspective. That executive order calls in almost every federal agency that there is and says, well, let's go out and help these rural communities. And so it's always these executive orders and these regulations are always cloaked in a manner that makes the uneducated, the less informed, the less impacted at this time citizen think that, well, they're just here to help. They're just, you guys are not smart enough or well enough. You're just not capable of taking care of yourselves. We need the federal government to come in and help you improve your lifestyle, improve your economy. It's always cloaked in those ways so that the people that are not directly impacted, such as us with the wolf, are thinking, oh, they're just there to help. Just leave the federal government alone. It's nothing but a growing set of regulations, which they act as though they are laws, and as you said, unconstitutional in my opinion by a long shot, and out of their jurisdiction by anybody's imagination, except the people who want to take over the power and control of the areas that are not under their control at this time. People need to realize, as you're stating, this is not helping the rural communities. This is impacting us in the most negative ways in every aspect of our lives and disallowing us to do what we need to do to survive. It as you stated, it is impacting our water, our air, our ability to travel, our economy in every aspect. So it in my opinion, is absolutely Agenda 21 in action, but it is cloaked in the federal government's here to help.
Exactly.
And the old saying is, we're from the government, we're here to help, you better slam the door real quick.
Now, solutions, because, first of all, I would like to invite everybody's listening to this transmission now or in the future. We must be aware, first of all, of the problem. If we do not admit that there is a problem, we're never going to fix it. But now I would like to start of all give you the floor for the last minute about what can we do to help you. And then I would like to give my feedback about what I think we should do. Go ahead, sir. What can we do to help?
I don't even know if I can talk for 10 minutes, but to help citizens need to be better educated and understand what's really happening. Spend time with people who are fighting these battles. I think many people have been affected by what I would call propaganda, that the people on the fringes who are standing up against the federal governments are right-wing crazy people who don't know what they're talking about. I asked the citizens of the western United States and of the entire country to start looking at the details and the facts of what these people are talking about, the ones that are being impacted by these regulations. Open up your minds, read. There's much information on the internet and through discussions with these groups that are under attack. And I'll give you one aspect that started to get into it. If you look into the American Lands Council .org, they're trying to work towards getting the public lands, which really belong to the states, back under the state's control, so that we can have our own self-control of our economies. Please look into the American Lands Council.org. That's only one aspect of what's going on in the western United States. But look at the issue going on up in Utah. Look at the overreach of BLM, of the Forest Service, of the EPA, of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They are absolutely out of control and moving into every aspect of our lives. What can you do? You can support the people who are standing up to this issue. You can get involved enough to understand and stand with them. The Constitution of this United States is being ignored by the present, we'll call it regime in Washington, D.C. They do not believe in the constitutional rights which developed and created the greatest country on earth, and which Mr. Zanna came to be a part of, and it is disappearing in front of your eyes because the Constitution is being ignored. It is the people who are supposed to be running the show, who run the states, and the states are supposed to be running the federal government. We created the federal government to protect our borders, not to attack us on issues within our borders.
Exactly.
And everything is turned backwards, and we need to stand up for our states' rights, our local rights, and create what used to be the constitutional values that we had back in the 1800s.
Completely agree with you, and I would like to add a couple of things. You just said exactly what I want to say. Let's start, first of all, to get involved at local level as much as we can. Even if we don't have yet the numbers, we need to be there on their face and supporting Supervisor, like Supervisor Barry Wellett is trying to do what he can, but it's just one person, cannot do it all. So we need to do as citizens, we have no excuses. We need to be there too, in every way we can, according to our opportunities and economic, also just time. I understand people work for a living, but this is a vital issue. Number two, the sheriff, the local sheriff, I understand it's another political issue because also he gets elected, but we need to start to get involved to get back a form of constitutional sheriff, the first line of defense against tyranny. And when I say the first, because we are the last, and this is exactly what I'm coming down to. The answer, unfortunately, is coming down pretty much soon to a point that we have to see at the model as the bundy-ranch. The Bundy's Ranch, I was there, I know you were there in support. We need to start to understand that we as Americans, regardless of our differences, we need to start to prepare to stand together peacefully as we can, but also ready to defend what is us, means our life, our happiness, and our properties. So I want to thank you, Supervisor Weller, and I hope we can be in touch with you. And every time there is something we can do, even to amplify your message, feel free to call me.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Zanna, and the fight is in everybody's jurisdiction right now. You talk about people not having the time to do things. You won't have the time to survive if you don't get involved now. Now's the time to be involved in all these issues, because your rights and your freedoms and your liberties are being robbed of you on a daily basis and on an exponential fashion. So you got to stand up for it and get involved right now.
Thank you, Supervisor Well. Thank you very much.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and who love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So Patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on Guerrilla Media Network. Don't forget also to go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com. Now, a few months ago, maybe a couple months ago, I had on my show my favorite attorney. When it comes down to rights, defending our individual rights, property rights, and Second Amendment rights, right, I always think about, in Arizona, about Marc-Victor. Mark, are you there?
I'm here, and thanks for having me back.
Thank you. And Mark, last time we talked about one of your clients, and his name, I always hate to pronounce a difficult name. I always destroy them. How do you say the last name, to say it right once, please?
His name is Dr. Peter Steinmetz.
Steinmetz. Okay, Peter Steinmetz is a doctor. Can we remind to the listener exactly what happened to him briefly, and then we go exactly what happened just a few days ago, the update?
Well, what happened was Dr. Steinmetz he works at the Barrow Neurological Institute. He has a PhD, and he's a researcher on the activity in the brain, the neurons. And he's also a gun activist. And so he decided for the second time, he had done this once before and didn't have a problem, he decided for a second time to take his AR-15 with the safety engaged fully and to walk around Sky Harbor Airport in a peaceful display, just really to show that peaceful, responsible people can carry even AR-15s safely without any problem. And he went to Starbucks and he bought himself a hot chocolate, and then he continued walking around the airport. And as you may imagine, this attracted the attention of lots of police officers. So the officers started following Dr. Steinmetz around. Dr. Steinmetz was carrying the AR-15 with the muzzle pointed directly down, and he decided to sit down. So obviously you can't put the muzzle straight down, and you shouldn't. So he rotated it straight up, being very careful so as not to point the muzzle of the AR-15 in the direction of any person. So he did that, and he sat there safely and started drinking his hot chocolate, and the police were very uncomfortable. And so they, according to Dr. Steinmetz, went over to these two women who were sort of in the general facility and said, look, were you upset or were you bothered? And sort of coaxed them into saying that they were bothered by this little demonstration and they felt like the weapon was pointed in their area. And so based on that, they arrested Dr. Steinmetz and they dragged him off to jail. He spent a night in jail and was charged with disorderly conduct with a firearm, which is a mandatory prison offense, even for a first-time offender like Dr. Steinmetz who had no priors. And so the county attorney didn't file the formal charges at that point because they wanted to look at the video. And that's been the posture of the case for the past several months. I've been having discussions with the county attorney's office back and forth about the case. We've also looked at the video, and I've explained to them that I don't believe Dr. Steinmetz committed a crime, although he did something that some people might call eccentric or strange or maybe foolish even, or idiotic, some people have said, but within his right to carry peacefully, responsibly, even, and we're talking about the unsecured section of Sky Harbor Airport, so obviously didn't cross across where TSA sort of manages things and you have searches. And so we've been negotiating over pretty much the past month, and we came to a resolution the other day where the county attorney's office agreed to never bring any criminal charges against Dr. Steinmetz for these acts. In exchange for that, Dr. Steinmetz agreed to do things that he normally does. Like, for example, he said in his press conference months earlier at my office that he had no plans to openly carry an AR-15 at Sky Harbor Airport. So one of the agreements was he would not openly carry at the airport. However, I intentionally put a line in to make it clear that he can continue to carry concealed at these airports. And we're only talking about, I think, 3 airports here, and it's only for a period of a couple of years. And in addition to that, he agreed to make a $500 donation to a youth gun safety group and to attend a gun safety course, as he has been doing for many years. So from Dr. Steinmetz's point of view, it was a reasonable resolution, and he made a point and was a political activist specifically for the Second Amendment. And as you may imagine, lots of people were, mostly maybe the anti-gun crowd, were very unhappy with Bill Montgomery's office, the elected county attorney here in Maricopa County, for agreeing to not bring criminal charges against Dr. Steinmetz.
Okay, this is very interesting because now, first of all, I mean, I'm glad that it ended in less costly, and also, sometimes even when you go to trial that you think you have all the rights you want, but there's always a jury in front of you, at least should be a jury, and you never know what type of jury you may have. So it's always a 50-50, and the risk to go to jail and lose also maybe his livelihood, as a professional licensed doctor and all these things, I think was too much. So I'm glad it turned out okay. But the disturbing thing is, in my opinion now, that this man pretty much, he has to pretty much cut the deal, and I agree, it's part of negotiation, and even he has the right to go on public places like the unsecure part of the airport in Phoenix. Technically, he cannot exercise this right. So I wonder if anybody else after him maybe get inspired by him, maybe with a little bit more of precautions, like, for example, video cameras and friends and witnesses would pretty much try to make a point with the anti-guns people, and more important with the government, the state of Arizona and the city of the city of Phoenix, that yes, they were able to do this with Dr. Steinmetz, but if we really have this right, and we can prove that we do not break any law, all they can do is there. Maybe they don't like us, but there is nothing they can do. It is kind of, made me feel almost like, maybe I should one time, maybe a few of us, we should try to, of course, we will always call our attorney Marc-Victor first, drive down to Phoenix. I'm not trying to get any hint. Okay?
Luca, you make a very good point, and it's something Dr. Steinmetz and I spoke of, and he was even asked by several stations, would you do it again? And he said yes, but I would consult with Marc-Victor first, because as I pointed out, look, I said to him, if he had come in here in advance, I might have discouraged him from doing it at all just because of the risk. But if he insisted, I would certainly have said, look, let's videotape it so it's clear exactly what happened, because the videotape from Sky Harbor isn't really as good as we would hope. And then I probably would have tipped off the police and said, look, just want to let you know, there's a guy coming with an AR-15. It's going to have the safety on. He's a responsible guy. He's just making a political statement. And we may have even tipped off the press. We would have done it differently, because at the heart of this issue was a factual question about whether or not he pointed the firearm at these 2 women. Because if you believe that he did, then there is, of course, risk of a disorderly conduct, or maybe even something worse than that. And, he says and I believe we would have prevailed at a trial with a reasonable jury, because he says, look, I was very, very aware of this issue and conscious of this issue. I was very careful to not point the weapon at anybody at any time, and I was there, and I know, and I'm the one who did it. So he's very convincing. I don't believe he pointed that firearm at anybody. But just like the police officers got these women to say that it was pointed in their direction, you never know.
You never know.
It's a mandatory prison type of a charge. And so,
wow.
This is a very good agree. Look, I always like it when my clients do not get charged with criminal offenses. So it's a good day for Dr. Steinmetz.
Good, good. Anyway, I'm very happy. And this is important because the reminder is for all law-abiding citizens, people of the state of Arizona, we have the right to have a constitutional carry. That means you can conceal with any permit. And Mark, of course, you're the expert. Correct me if I'm wrong. Of course, in designated areas, not everywhere. And also, we still have the right of open carry. Important thing that the weapon is, your holster, in case it's a small size weapon like a handgun, or it is on your sling, like in this case was an AR-15. Must be sling. Otherwise, it would be brandishing. It would be opening to other things. Mark, anything you want to say to our listeners, something that may be important? Because we have right now, the results of the new elections. All the Republicans, they're very excited, think life is going to be beautiful and all the problems, they're going to be gone. I have a different opinion, but of course, I like to see at least a little bit of a knee-jerk reactions, but I'm not that completely naive. What do you think about these elections?
Well, shifting to politics for a moment, these elections are like every one of the elections before. There's nothing's going to change here because things don't change as a matter of politics. Politics. Look, if voting could change anything, the government would have outlawed that a long time ago. Nothing changes through voting. Things change because people change what's in their hearts and what's in their minds. And so it's people like you, Luca, who are doing shows like your show that are enlightening people about freedom, about the notions that it's okay for other people to peacefully do things that you yourself don't do or don't like or think are immoral or bad or unhealthy. As long as they're peaceful, that's what a free society is about. And so the goal of any person trying to promote freedom ought to be to win as many hearts and minds for liberty as possible, and to not worry about what's going on with these crazy people that are running for politics.
I agree. It's a state of mind. I always believe that at the end of the day, freedom is not a place, but it's our state of mind. Start within ourselves. When I was younger, my early 20s, I used to go around the world traveling to try to find the island of peace and the island of freedom. And then I realized there is always some sort of a government trying to infringe on all your rights. So no matter where you are, of course, there are places that are supposed to be better, like America, even not perfect. And the last 20 years, for sure, we lost a lot. But regardless, it starts from within. And at the end of the day, it is a state of mind. You start with the way you live your life. That's why I say it's so important when you know that we have rights, we are aware of our rights, we start to exercise them in every part of our life. You don't need to pick every battle, but a small little bit every day. Even Dr. Steinmetz, in my opinion, I understand what he was trying to do. If you really have the Second Amendment, we have this right to keep and bear arms as a law-abiding citizen in a public place peacefully. It's like, sometimes you see these videos in Switzerland. By the way, this is not a right, it's a privilege because you still have to have a government permit. But you see these ladies going around with a bicycle and their 6.556 rifle. Same story here. Arizona is a different state. That's why I believe it's one of the last free places, even not completely free, but we have still one right that probably is the top in all over the 50 states. Guns and Ammo magazine just this year confirmed for the second year in a row, Arizona is the number one, the first state among all the 50 states when it comes down to the Second Amendment. Were you aware of this sort of article about guns and ammo in Arizona?
I wasn't aware of the article, but I know that one of the things that where we shine in Arizona is the right to keep and bear arms. So that doesn't surprise me a bit.
It's always we're always under attack. We have former Mayor Bloomberg going around all over the states, pouring millions of dollars to try to change legislations. I always say we're always away from one legislation away to start things to change, because even in Phoenix, things can change easy, our House and the Senate, it is not exactly going to be always like, I'm not saying this is perfect, but at least we held the line when it comes down to the Second Amendment. Before I let you go, Mark, I would like to remind to, first of all, our listeners that you're not just an attorney, you're a believer in freedom, and also you are a veteran. You are a former U.S. Marine. And this is important because this is a guy that, in my opinion, it is not just here try to make a dollar. Of course, nothing wrong with that. We live out of our free market resources, but also he believes in the oath to defend the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Mark, would you like just to remind maybe one episode or something that when you were in the service, something that you would say, you know what, that was very important for me as a human being, as an American, also as a soldier, an experience that could be, I don't know, with your friends there or something that make you think about what you were doing? Whatever happened, one episode.
You know, I did. When I was in Desert Storm, I remember being sent over there and being worried about the Iraqi army.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when we went in on the ground and most of them surrendered, and I remember them coming back as prisoners of war on the trucks, yelling Bush, 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 and freedom and United States and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me for the first time, these are just other human beings. And these guys didn't have anything to do with the politics that was going on between Washington and things happening in Iraq with Saddam Hussein. They were just exactly the same as we are. And, you know, I'm reminded every time I travel to a foreign country, it's always interesting to learn about the different cultures and the different foods and different music and how people do things differently, and all that is fun. But at the end of the day, I'm always reminded about how similar we are. People are people everywhere in every country, and they all want pretty much the same things, right? Everybody wants their kids to do better than they did. Everybody likes to have fun with their friends and have a nice dinner and all these things. People really, for most people, not everybody, most people really want peace. And they want to be free to chart their own course and run their own lives. And this is why what we do, Luca, promoting freedom, is a human thing. It's pro-human. It's pro-life. It's it's pro-humanity. And so we're on the right side of this argument. I always encourage people, do whatever your skill set allows you to do. Speak, write, whatever, articles, or talk to your neighbor, or whatever is in your makeup to do. Go out there and promote freedom, because whether you're good at it or bad at it, we're on the right side of this issue, and we're going to win ultimately. The world is moving in a more free direction, albeit slow and not as much as we like, and there are setbacks here and there undoubtedly. In the end, freedom will prevail.
I agree. Mark, for the listeners that maybe sometimes they may need a consulting or they maybe have some problems, how they can reach you? How can they reach you?
You can always get a hold of me through my website. It's just attorneyforfreedom.com. What else would it be, right?
Exactly, on Love, Guns, and Freedom radio show. Mark, I love you with all my heart, and I always think about you as one of my persons that really made me understand a lot of things. I'm not saying that, you are the spiritual guide, but let me tell you, I like the way you do and you interpret the law and the way you fight for us. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you, brother, for everything you do. It's been a pleasure.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You cross the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You cross the line. Soon you will pay for all your crimes. After a long train of abuses and dissipation, now we've lost our patience. You were trying to kill our Constitution, to kill our pride. Now the wood is dry. Don't tread on us. We're not pushing us into desperation. You will only fuel our determination, yeah. It's been way too long since the last time, 1776. Now we're done with your tricks. Don't tread on us, we're not afraid. You work for us, we're not your slaves. Don't tread on us, you crossed the line, so you will pay for all your crimes. Don't tread on us, don't tread on us, don't tread on us. Now it's payback time. Don't tread on us, don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us, we're not your slaves. Don't tread on us, you crossed the line, so you will pay for all your crimes. Don't tread on us. 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 Don't tread on us.
Here we go. Final hour, Love, Guns, and Freedom. I would like to talk about love today, but I'm not saying that this is not important. Normally we talk about love in singles, but today we had a lot of information. We had, of course, interviews. Did you listen to the interview with the marc-victor about Second Amendment case here in Arizona? Also, very important, also the situation with the Agenda 21 in another part of Arizona, Apache-County, with Supervisor Weller. And, of course, the first hour, very disturbing, what happened to Mr. Ammon-bundy, the way he was treated. Now, I'd like to try to change a little bit topic, but unfortunately the news that are coming through, they are very serious, and we need 1 second to focus on this. Before I go ahead, probably you heard before this break my remix of the song Don't Tread on Us. It's pretty much one of my most favorite songs, and I also did a remix just fresh out of the studio, and I wanted to share with you, my listeners. This is a remix different from the original track. The track was some sort of a soft, let's say, rock ballad or slow rock. Okay, and you can find it, of course, on YouTube. Don't Tread on Us by Luca Zanna. Or, of course, if you want to support me, go to my website, www.zanna.us or amazon.com, iTunes, everywhere. You can download the whole CD if you want, or even just the single track for just 99 cents. And I really appreciate it, by the way, because sometimes I don't spend enough time reminding you if this show can go on. I mean, it is because of you, your support, not just the words. Of course, I appreciate your encouragement and your support, but also just the 99 cents and the CDs that you can purchase and the music and the ideas that I try to share with you, you can support. Especially when you buy 99 cents a song, it's a great moral support, but also at the end of the day, pays bills. And that's also what costs to be here. To, the time and the effort and everything else. Everybody must make a living, and I appreciate your help. So that's all I want to say. Now, talking about the song, I would like to do a gift for you guys. The song Don't Tread on Us, it is one of my favorite songs, as I said, and it's up to you, of course, if you like it. I have a lot of downloads from around the world, even from other countries like England. Friends in England have been doing like a cover of my original track. So I came out with an idea. I would like to give a special prize to a special person who takes the effort and the time to use this song to share a message of freedom. And if you listen to the lyrics of Don't Tread on Us, get inspired and make a beautiful YouTube video. Whatever you want to, just stay in theme, okay? Try to follow the theme. Don't tread on us. We are not your slaves. You work for us. And everything else. So, this is an official contest, okay? And first of all, let's talk about the prize. The prize is something I think is very nice. You know, I'm a Frontside lifetime member. I'm a Guardian member, but I like to share the Frontside experience. Frontside is the #1 firearm institute in the world, in my opinion. He has more than 50,000 students from around the world every year, top-notch instructors, and we're talking about from handguns, shotgun, rifle, tactical rifle, sniper rifle, M16, full auto, Uzi, empty hands, combat with a knife or edge weapons, and rappelling. I mean, it's amazing stuff, seriously. I really believe that the level of curriculum, if you go through a class, even just a basic handgun class, you're going to be pretty much one of the top 5% in the firearm community among civilians, and sometimes also much better than many other pro, as they call themselves, you know, law enforcement. So this is a great opportunity I would like to share with you. So I would like to give you the opportunity to have one free, it means free that I'm paying for it, Diamond membership. By the way, as you can hear my background noise, today I am broadcasting from my studio in the beautiful Arizona farm, okay? So this is live. It's kind of a different environment, not a typical sterile studio. There are dogs around, and they're barking. So anyway, what I was saying, I would like to offer a free diamond, I say diamond like the stone, the precious stone, membership, that if you go to frontside.com, you can see they sell them for $15,000. With the diamond membership, you can pretty much do the rest of your life any class you want at Frontside. All you have to do is bring your own ammo, okay, and drive there or fly there, whatever you want to do. So one free great opportunity to have a diamond membership for $15,000. Now, what do you have to do to be able to win that, at least to have a chance to win? It's very simple. All you have to do is get the song Don't Tread on Us, and if you can get it from any legitimate source, like pay 99 cents, I really appreciate it, Amazon, iTunes, or www.zanna.us, okay, and download the song, so it's yours, and also with my blessing, I appreciate your support, and with that song, just create a YouTube video with the images or something that could be connected to the music. You play the song as a background or as a main soundtrack of your video and publish it on YouTube. And you had just to post Don't Tread on Us competition with Luca Zanna. I say again, Don't Tread on Us video competition or contest with Luca Zanna. Post that on YouTube and send me the link. Send me the link. Go to my website, lovegunsfreedom.com. Lovegunsfreedom.com. There is my email on the homepage. Send me the email with the link of your YouTube video. And give me we're going to be like about 30 days. I will receive as many videos as I can. And I will go through myself personally each video, watching them. And I would like to give as the person who has more creativity. You want to put more effort, and I believe could be delivering better the message of Don't Tread on Us, the spirit of freedom that we want to share. I would donate a beautiful lifetime diamond membership at Frontside, $15,000 worth it. All you have to do, say again, download the song, Don't Tread on Us, try to get a legit copy. If you can, I appreciate it, 99 cents everywhere. Then create a YouTube video and put in the title of the video, Don't Tread on Us Contest, Gianluca Zanna. Send me the email with your YouTube. Today exactly is going to be the November the 9th, 2014. And 1 month from now, I will find the person who deserves, in my opinion, to win a free front-side membership. Okay, so this is pretty much today my part of love, okay? So I wanted to try to keep the love going, even with this bad news that unfortunately I need to share. And when I say bad, I say that disturbing, let's put it this way. Now, something that it's important. We know that the elections, at least they brought for a moment, even just in the appearance, of course, we don't know. We know very well, no, we don't know. We know that these Republicans, at least the top dogs in charge, they're all together with the Democrats. I mean, Bonner, you don't need to, and I call it Bonner intentionally. I know it's okay saying that. It is not an FCC violation. So Bonner, Mr. Bonner, is pretty much playing golf with Obama. He's been playing golf. Now he can play a little bit the act, but they're still trying to push all the agendas that they want for the globalists. So really nothing's going to change, maybe just in the appearances. I hope to be wrong. I really do. I hope we can stop this destructive plan of Mr. Obama, because now he wants to pretty much go through the amnesty. He needs these few million more of illegal aliens, many more, to be ready to vote pretty soon. So there is no more any type of false hope at the elections with the democracy, one of the most dangerous keyword that they've been trying to pretty much brainwash us the last, unfortunately, at least 30 years. All these presidents always saying democracy, democracy. We know very well that our founding fathers hated the word democracy, because you know very well, my friends, democracy means that 51% of the society can take over the rights and the property of the minority, of the 49%. We're supposed to be, we are, in my opinion, in my heart, a constitutional republic where all the minority, they are protected. That means there is no mob can take over the individual rights of any of us. Unfortunately, we already see they can vote us pretty much to destroy our property, to confiscate our property, to pretty much steal our taxes. So that's a fact. We need to stop that. For sure, having this amnesty, it would completely destroy every hope we have. So let's be hopeful. Let's try to at least put pressure on these Republicans that are in charge, and let's expose them if they are frauds. I'm trying to be always positive. I don't want to have any type of negative attitude with anybody. I always want to believe there is a good in everybody. But unfortunately, sometimes we need to be realistic, and we will see with facts. So I'm just trying, let's be open. I know we may have some local people at state level. They may do it, perform right. I know there are some good candidates out there. I know personally. And also we know that we are state level also, and also federal level. Things may be different. So let's follow very closely every type of topics, every type of voting records, and let's be honest, and let's stick to the records. That's all I can say. Meanwhile, we know very well Obama is not going to give up. One thing is very disturbing. It came out this week as a mainstream news. Okay, there is a situation that we should all be very concerned. This is about a malware virus that Homeland Security pretty much said that it was found in the many computers that pretty much control our infrastructures in America. I'm talking about electric grid, I'm talking about, for example, sewers and water and electricity, power plants. This is real stuff. For Homeland Security to go on mainstream media, talking about now I'm going to play an ABC, a special news report, okay, a few minutes, to admit that it is true. They would never say something so big unless really they have to. And the scary thing is, imagine, now President Obama is mingling, of course, with the business of another sovereign nation, Ukraine, and Russia, okay? We are completely far away from that world. Why we should go there and spend billions of dollars to support any of their sites? It is not our business, but that's another story, even of course it is our story. Because at the same time, they try to control the elections there, and we are losing our elections here as a also sort of, completely mingling in their business. We don't care of our business. That's the problem. But regardless now, the point is, we have the Russian government pretty much ready to go from Cold War to hot war. Tanks have been rolling in Ukraine. And now we also have this news that pretty much supposedly, allegedly, some Russia malware virus, is already been infiltrated in our structure, in our network that controls most of our infrastructures when it comes down to energy and water resources since 2011, and now it's been activated. This is official news. I will play right now for you this little ABC, and then we can continue the conversation, because this is part of a bigger plan, in my opinion. This is not just some act of terrorism or hacking. Remember, the globalists, they think like a chess game. They want pretty much put in the situation of problem, reaction, solution. They need, first of all, to create fear in us, put us in a situation of disadvantage, and then, sometimes we have just to give up. Guess what? Now I'll tell you also why more I'm concerned. I think this is a big chess game. I believe, unfortunately, Russia and Obama, they are together. So much that they want to try to do this Ukraine situation. But let's not forget the open, hot mic before the election. And let's not also forget that a very important piece of information that was a documentary played in 1982 with pretty much exposing the people and the plans with the weather underground and the Larry Gradwell on Bill Ayer's plan for the American to create re-education camps and to kill millions of us if we did not go along with this socialist global plan that they were planning for us. So it is all connected. Let's start first of all with these pieces of information that we should all be very aware. Listen to this ABC special report about this malware virus that is already in our infrastructure. Stay here. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
There are reports of a cyber attack on the nation's critical infrastructure. Hackers targeting America's power grids, gas lines, water treatment plants, and more using malicious computer software. The hackers now believed to have links to the Russian government. ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has the late-breaking details. He's been talking to his sources today. Pierre?
David, some of the computer systems serving the country's most important utilities have been penetrated by hackers using a malicious software called Black Energy. It was planted years ago, but it has not been activated and only recently discovered. What's at risk? Power plants, the electric grid, water treatment facilities.
Now, you heard this. For mainstream news, lamestream news, as I call them, to go public on things like that, we must pay attention. Now, think for a moment, if tomorrow morning you go to try to go to the toilet, to your bathroom, and there is no water. If you go to try to turn your faucet on, try to drink a glass of water, there is no water. If you try to turn the electricity, there is no electricity. Your fridge is off, everything's off, everything's gone. For just one day, imagine the panic. Everything will stop. You try to put gas at the gas station, there is no electricity, no gas. So in a few days, this country will be pretty much on its knees. Now, why I'm going there? Meanwhile, there is all this sort of foggy show, or I say funny show. It looks like a fog, war of fog, or fogs of war with Russia. And there is also something that I talked about this several times, but today I need to go through back again. FEMA, you know very well with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, paid by our tax dollar. He signed, not that long ago, an agreement, an official agreement to cooperate with Mr. Vladimir Putin, emergency ministry. I mean, this is the main guy that under Putin, the Russian guy, he take care of a branch of the military for emergency, situations. It's called exactly EMERCOM, okay? That in case any type of disaster on U.S. soil, any type of situation that could be declared martial law or state of emergency, we will have Russian troops on U.S. soil. Let me say again, FEMA signed an agreement that you pretty much will have Russian troops on U.S. soil. This was signed not that long ago, in 2013, and I will put the link again on Love, Guns, and Freedom website. Go to lovegunsfreedom.com. If you go to today's show, the November the 9th, you will see the link. There is the official link with the official website, FEMA, and the Russian website, and everything there. And I have the article from the New American. It's a great online and also offline magazine, monthly magazine, okay? So this is very serious. Now, while we're saying this, think about it. We have a plan. I mean, we have an individual, at the White House, that pretty much we understand, according to facts, okay? I'm not trying to go through conspiracy, just the way he's been pretty much conducting his business with his policies, his actions, unconstitutional actions, and more important is the socialistic/Marxist agenda. This guy pretty much, it is not a friend of the America that we knew, okay? The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, due process. No, it's the worst than Bush. I mean, Bush did the Patriot Act, and we all agree, at least some of us, I agree, that was the disaster, it was a tyrannical act. Now, if you believe that Bush was wrong, you should really understand that if Obama, with the just latest National Defense Authorization Act, pretty much destroy any type of due process with this completely unconstitutional, without due process and unlimited, indefinite detention. So right there, we should agree. I don't care which party are you from. So once we said that, and we look now that we also, for the first time in history, we have this sort of a special agreement with the Russian country, with Russia. The Russia that we're supposed to be now believe that is our enemy, while we're going through Ukraine to try to completely mingle in their business, they have this special agreement of have Russian troops on U.S. soil. Then, think about it. Meanwhile, we found out that in 2011, the Russian malware virus, it is in our system. Official news directly from ABC report, as you just heard. Now, what's the next step? Next step, unfortunately, we need to start to look at the past. Not that long ago, there was a terrorist, Mr. Bill Hare, by the way, Ayers, that is a friend of Obama, we know that, is a family friend, with a weather underground, that has been exposed to have a plan to kill millions of Americans would refuse to become part of this new Marxist utopia, New America. And there was this man, Mr. Larry Gretwall, hope I pronounce it right, is still alive, by the way, used to be an informant for the FBI, and he went on record, and I will play right now the audio that I already played a few times, but this is very important today, in my opinion, that this record pretty much tell us exactly what plans they had after they infiltrated our government and all the different branches of government. Like pretty much they're doing right now. So now let's play this Larry Gretwall, part of a documentary where he exposes pretty much Weather Undergrounds and Bill Ayers and all his plans. Okay, let's listen to this right now. Stay tuned. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. We become responsible then for administrating, 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I ask, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people. I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
And they were dead serious. I think we should be serious too, because this is a serious matter. Obama, it is not just an illusion or a nightmare. It is real. He has 2 more years. And remember something now, with the new elections results, all he needs it's a crisis. There are enough executive orders out there, not just by Obama, Bush, and Clinton, and other presidents before, but even just MPD 51, created by the pen of Mr. Bush, President Bush, George Bush. That's enough. With any type of crisis, the president pretty much can assume all the powers in the three different branches. He would have pretty much de facto the final tyrant. And he already is. We know that now what he's doing with his executive orders, or at least what he's trying to do. And he already done many damages. No, we have 2 more months before January. Many things can happen meanwhile. Now think about it. What if there is a cyber attack on our infrastructures? What if this Ebola, that, by the way, now nobody's talking about this anymore, kind of strange. The doctor in New York that he spent 1 week after he came back from Africa going around subways and restaurants and playing bowling, and is sick, but nobody else pretty much got sick yet. Anything can happen anytime. So let's look at the big picture here. The type of game could play. We have the Russians that supposedly now they control, or they could control and destroy our grids. Meanwhile, we know that there is FEMA that just 1 year and a half ago signed this special, incredible agreement to pretty much provide troops to keep us safe in case there is any type of national emergency. And meanwhile, we have Obama. Okay, and we have this plan that was on record not that long ago, just 30 years ago, now 40 years ago. Bill Ayers is still alive, is a friend of Obama, and we know very much the agenda. So, Russians, they can be here. The same Russians, this gentleman working as an informant for the FBI, he was warning us about. And let's not forget the Chinese. I talked to you about that before, and you can Google that, by the way. You don't need to trust me. I hope you never trust me. I always hope you can do your researches. For the first time in the history of America, we have right now Chinese troops stationed in Hawaii, okay, since pretty much the last year, 2013. If this doesn't freak you out, I don't know what it does. I mean, Chinese troops, okay? The same Chinese pretty much, they are behind also the takeover, and through corporations. Remember, every corporation from China is pretty much partially controlled by the government of China. It's sort of a fascism. It's a union between government and and private corporation. Okay, so the same corporation that the Chinese corporation wanted and still wants to take over the land of the Bundys. We have that on record. And there was a deal cut a few years ago with the son of Mr. Senator Harry Reid. His son was pretty much in charge of this sort of a company, doing all the different type of, public relations for this company. They're supposed to get a sweet deal to have all these hundreds of thousands of acres and put there for a few $1 million, super sweet deal, their Chinese solar corporation of solar energy. Okay, now, communist Chinese troops on U.S. soil for exchange mission. So Google that. There is an article on Thursday, the 14th of November, 2013 on the New American. Now, when you look at that and you look what Mr. Larry Gradhall used to say about this plan and plot by Bill Ayers and all the white collars, different politicians or professors from Columbia University, of course, he mentions also that, we are in danger here. We are in really serious danger. Now, as I said, we need to try to do the best to enjoy life. At the same time, we must have a plan. Sometimes it's overwhelming, I understand, but there is no way we can turn around. There is no way we can stop looking at this, because otherwise, already to see a train is coming towards me, even I know that the train is dangerous and sometimes freak me out, but at least I have a chance to move and to be proactive instead of being reactive, or just ignoring it and sticking my head in the ground. That is not going to stop the train for sure. We have an obligation towards ourselves, our forefathers, and our next generation to defend what is left of this republic. I really believe that. We're going to face situations, any of us, pretty soon. Sometimes it's just the moment that you have to speak up, the moment that you have to say something in front of the public, in front of that county supervisor meeting, or the city council meeting, or just writing the letter to the editor. But unfortunately, I believe we already passed that stage. We're going to be facing a situation that we need to count on each other, try to be nicer, and try also to understand that we are pretty much the heroes, or we will be the only superheroes coming to rescue us. If you think that Captain America or some sort of a superhero is coming out from Washington, no, I don't believe that. I believe at the end of the day it's going to be us as brothers and sisters, Americans, even with our differences in different parts of, could be ideology, but nobody wants to become a slave. We want to be free human beings. And I believe that many of us, at least most of us, want that. And that's my only goal. I'm not trying to preach. This is not about left or right. I believe, unless you're a complete evil bastard that you believe in tyranny, I think we need to stick together. So this is pretty much the part of news I wanted to share. Now, let's go with a song, because it's time to freshen up a little bit and relax a little bit. I also want to remind you, always please support, if you want to support the show, of course, support the radio station, support K-Talks, or support also GMN and any other station I may pretty much share the show. My idea is to share this show and this information with as many people as I can. So support the broadcasting and also support myself if you can. That's one of the best way. I try to keep the show free as possible. Do not rely on sponsors, so I can say whatever I think is right in my opinion, in my heart, in my soul. So if you can go to my website, Zanna, ZANNA.us, and you can download any of my songs or buy one of my CDs, also on Amazon.com, anything, it really helps, and I appreciate your help. So let's go now with the song that I want to play for you, to remind you about the contest that we just talked a few seconds ago. The contest for Don't Tread on Us. Now I will give you the original track that you can download anywhere on Amazon or iTunes or anywhere. You can download it and create the YouTube video to share on YouTube and write in the title, Don't Tread on Us contest, Gianluca Zanna. Send me the link of your YouTube and you will be able to participate to potentially win one beautiful diamond membership at Frontside Nevada. It's worth $15,000. You can go to frontside.com and check it out. Diamond membership, $15K. Give it to you for free, but you must earn it. So do the song, publish it, do your YouTube, put it on YouTube, and do the video and share it with us, okay? Now let's listen to Don't Tread on Us, and we go back with some more information, okay? Stay there. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
Don't tread on us, we're not afraid. You work for us, we're not your slaves. Don't tread on us, you crossed the line, soon you will pay for all your crimes. After a long train of abusive and dissipation, now we've lost our patience. Yeah, you're trying to kill our constitution, to kill our pride. Now the wood is dry. Yeah. Don't tread on us, we're not afraid. You work for us, we're not your slaves. Don't tread on us, you crossed the line, soon you will pay for all your crimes. You keep on pushing us into desperation. You'll only fuel our determination. Yeah, it's been way too long since the last time, 1776. Now we're done with your tricks. Yeah, don't tread on us. Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us. We're not your slaves. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay for all Now it's payback time. Don't tread on us. You crossed the line. Soon you will pay. You're gonna pay for all your crimes. Don't tread on us.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Okay, guys, that was the song Don't Tread on Us and little spot for my CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom, the latest CD, by the way. Working on a new one. It's going to be all about freedom, but message to unleash the brains and pretty much wake up people, I hope. And at the same time, it's a mix between disco music, electronic sounds, especially with some sounds from the 70s, Giorgio Moroder, I don't know if you like it, I love him, and also mix a blend with the hard rock guitars. A project for disco clubs. I'm going to hit the clubs. Yes, I like to meet people, and I would be great to try to reach the youngest generation, the new generation, with some music that could be pretty much fit their what they like. At the same time, try to put some messages of love and freedom. That's my hope. We will see. But meanwhile, I started the recordings. Now, let's go a little bit on guns, okay? Because at the end of the day, it's part of the plan. Knowledge is the first weapon. Love is the weapon before even knowledge. Because when you have love for freedom and love for your fellow humans, and pretty much to fight against evil, you must be a person who loves. Then you're motivated to also know more. And when you have knowledge, you have power. But remember, power used for a good purpose, used to pretty much free humanity and free yourself and try to do good deeds if it's possible, okay? And now, once you have, of course, that knowledge, you need to share it. You can keep it for yourself. And part of knowledge is also knowing how to defend ourselves and how to defend our families, how to defend our country. I always believe that, first of all, the first thing we should have to, as George Washington called the thief of freedom, it is a rifle. That's the first thing. Because with a rifle, you can fight for your freedom. You can defend your country. There was no war won by a handgun or by a shotgun. That's why normally, even in Europe, shotguns, they are allowed, much more easier to buy or to own, because shotgun is the instrument of the peasant, normally, to just go out and hunting. Think about it. You need a rifle. The rifle is the rifleman that would make the difference. When you have that 500 yards rifleman accuracy, you can pretty much hit at, let's say, at 500 yards, at 20 square inches, at 4 minutes of echo. Now, we were talking about last week about dry practice. Dry practice, it is very important. You can do dry practice with every weapon you own. And there are some safety conditions. I already said that last week, so if you want to go, please go back to the last show and listen to them again. And also remind you that if you make a mistake, you're on your own. Don't blame it on me, okay? This is just for didactical purpose. I'm not here trying to teach you, just try to share some information, okay? Now, let's start to think about what type of drills you could do with your own rifle. First of all, you need a target, okay? And I would consider two types of targets. One target would be a body shape, something that really looks like a person, a nasty person, an angry person, okay? That would be very important. And the second target, we need something that you can put pretty much behind a cardboard, of course. You want a cardboard that you can take it on and off every time you finish, okay? So you need a cardboard, and you need a physical, let's say, a human face target of a bad person, something that, normally used by these targets, okay? Put it there on this surface. Then you need another target that would be considered the 4 minutes of angle shooting. In this case, I would get, for example, if you can find one of these Appleseed projects, you can Google them online, free targets. They pretty much scale down different type of sizes of body at 100, 200, 300, and 400 yards. That means you can, at 25 yards, reproduce the different type of size, okay, when you look at these targets. To make it simple, let's say you don't find the Appleseed targets, get 1 square inch, okay, with your little measurement, and mark with a black marker a couple of 1 square inches, okay? Why you want the 1 square inch? Because the 1 square inch at 25 yards, it is pretty much the reproductions of 500 yards of a 20 square inches target. Normally 20 inches, it's pretty much the average width of the chest of a human being. So you want to work as a rifleman to obtain the 4 minutes of angle, or means at 500 yards, 20 inches, okay? Or 20 square inches. Now, when you put this target, let's start with, first of all, the exercises to do for the 1 square inch at 25 yards. Try to find the spot that you are pretty much at 25 yards between you and the target. Remember something, when you finish your exercise, the target must be removed. Number one. Number two, remember that behind the target must be always some barrier to stop even an unintentional discharge. A negligent discharge, there is no exception, okay? Even if, first of all, you should never have ammunition in your rifle on yourself, or in the room, or in the near environment where you're doing this exercise. So that's very important. But more important, you also want to always have the knowledge who is beyond or behind the target, okay? Because for any reason you break one of these rules, at least there is a wall or there is some sort of a barrier would stop this negligent discharge. So that's very important. Now, 25 yards, the first exercise you want to do, learn the basic how to, from standing, going prone with your rifle in a safe way. I will do a YouTube that is going to show exactly how to, from standing position, using this sling, that is very important tool to become a rifleman, how to lay pretty much prone, going prone, the most stable position for the rifleman, and where also you got the most of accuracy out of your rifle, how to do it correctly, how to do it safely, and how to do it as fast as possible. So the first exercise will be, as you will see in the YouTube, that I will upload this week on lovegunsfreedom.com on today's show, November the 7th. You will see exactly how doing its dry exercise, means dry practice, without ammunition, how to, from standing position, to go prone, and get that exactly right position to be able to shoot from prone. So we will also talk about the position, how to shoot from prone in the right way. Now, that would be the first exercise. You will see, especially when you're not used to, shooting from prone as a rifleman is kind of pretty much interesting physical exercise, because your muscles, if they are not trained to be stretched, it's kind of painful. Your gluteus muscles, your legs, you may have some cramps. It's amazing to see how pretty much uncomfortable can be at the beginning. then you will see how easy it is and comfortable it is. So that's the first exercise. Now, at the same time, when you go prone, you don't want to just go prone, but you start to time your time from standing all the way to go down prone, and at the same time, how long it takes for you to have a very accurate, or at least combat accurate, sight picture of that 1 square inch target that we posted at exactly 25 yards. So this is not just an exercise from standing, going prone, fast as you can. No, standing, going prone in the right way, at the same time acquire that sight picture with the front sight exactly where you want it on that 1 square inch that reproduces at 25 yards at 20 square inches of a target at 500 yards. So that's very first good exercise you can do dry. Number 2, dry, of course, when you are already down in prone position, let's start to pretty much go to the basics of marksmanship. Let's start to see how do you hold that rifle. If your elbow, your support elbow is exactly under the rifle. If your palm that supports the rifle, it's open and relaxed, does not tremble, and does not use muscles to hold that rifle. Let's see if your finger, your trigger finger, is correctly placed and use just the tip of the finger that you want to use. Let's see if you do not drag wood, that means you do not touch part of your finger, the rest of the stock. Let's see how you use your cheek position on the welding of the stock. Let's see how your muscles are relaxed. Let's see if you have the natural point of aim. All these things, of course, I don't want to just go through the radio because it would be kind of hard to explain without pretty much showing it. So I always invite you to go to lovegunsfreedom.com, and I will post a section. A new section is called Rifle Training. So you will see that, all these little YouTubes, and all I'm trying to do, I'm not an instructor, even I have some practice and some experience and also some qualifications, but I am, in my opinion, a professional student. So as an act of love today, I will share with you whatever I can. And also, this is not just an act of love, it is also an act of selfishness. And I tell you why. Because I don't like to be, I don't feel very confident and rewarded to think that I am the best rifleman around. And I am not, don't get me wrong, but I like to see that there are people better than me. I always hope for that. When it comes down to defending freedom, you don't want to be the only guy in your block. You hope everybody is able to at least have the basic skills to be there for the task. Simple as that. That's all it is about, sharing skills that hopefully, and I say hopefully, we will never have to use. I'm not advocating for any violence. I'm the most probably peaceful guy. I may have my own problems. Sometimes I'm very loud. Sometimes, I'm very tired or whatever. I may be not very social, whatever you want to tell me. But I believe in peace. I believe in love. I believe to be left alone. And I don't like violence as the last resort. But at the same time, I do not want to be a slave. I will refuse to submit to be a slave. And I hope so, you, my fellow Americans and listeners, we understand that we are living in very dangerous times. And all I can say, this is the time to prepare. And all starts from our heart. And when we love freedom, we'll share this love for freedom with other fellow Americans and human beings from around the world. Freedom is not just about America. I think everybody, every human deserves freedom. But of course, we are here and we have to fight and stand up for our rights and for this republic. So I'm here with you. And I want to leave you for the day for another little song that I wrote, and this is dedicated to all the United Nations troops that would like to come and get our guns. Come and take it.
Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. Take it, you're gonna like it, you're gonna feel like it's paradise. Come and take it, you're gonna get it, you're gonna taste it, one between your eyes. Come take it, come take it, come take it, come take it. No more false illusions, enough of future. Your empty words are like dope. If you want our guns, you want our souls. If you want our lives, here we stand in line. Come and take it. You're gonna like it. You're gonna feel like it's paradise. Come and take it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna taste it. One between your eyes. Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. Come and take it. No more tears, no more fears. Let's have our last beer. Now it's time to fight. And freedom may never die.